doesn't love a good twist? While a bad plot twist can sink a good film, or make a bad one even worse, a great one can resurrect a dying plot or elevate an already stellar piece to the next level. Slasher films usually have some element of mystery to them, typically revolving around the identity of the person doing the slashing. As a result, this genre lends itself to the story taking a turn for the unexpected, and there have been some absolutely classic examples of this over the years. For as long as slasher movies have been a thing, directors and writers have been working to come up with the next big surprise, the one that will keep their names preserved in history forevermore. These 10 films all achieve that goal, as nobody was expecting how their plots would eventually turn out. With that in mind, I'm Sean Ferrick for What Culture Horror, and here are the 10 most unexpected twists in slasher movies. Number 10. Two killers scream. The whole idea of Wes Craven's 1996 classic Scream is that it pokes fun of horror movie conventions, so naturally it had to feature a massive surprise towards the end. While trying to figure out who Ghostface is, Sidney Prescott initially suspects her boyfriend Billy Loomis after a number of unexplained coincidences. It seems as if Billy is just a red herring though when the masked madman appears and tries to murder him. Or does he? As revealed during the film's blistering climax, Billy is Ghostface, but he's not the only Ghostface. His friend Stu Macker, played by Matthew Lillard, has been helping him the whole time, including dressing up with a costume to attack Billy earlier in the movie. This is everything a good twist should be, unexpected whilst also making complete sense without contradicting any previous information. The double killer ending to Scream is one of the big reasons why it's so iconic today, all thanks to this double dose of deception. Number 9. Mandy is in on it. All the boys love Mandy Lane. In 2006, director Jonathan Levine released one of his rare films not to feature Seth Rogen in a teen horror romp, All the Boys Love Mandy Lane. Amber Heard is the titular character, a one-time outcast who, after getting a serious glow-up over the summer, is adopted by the popular clique at school. Good news for Mandy, bad news for her friend Emmett, who remains shunned. Mandy gets invited to spend a weekend at the cool kids' place while her parents are away, and wouldn't you know, Emmett follows her there and begins ruthlessly picking them off. At first it seems like Emmett has gone rogue, acting out of anger at the betrayal of his former friend. However, when one of the popular kids thinks she's safe with Mandy, she stabs her, revealing she's been working with Emmett the whole time. The whole film felt as if it was building to a dramatic confrontation between Mandy and Emmett, only to completely reverse the dynamic in the climax. Although Emmett also ends up dead, Mandy survives the ordeal, with her part in the bloody plot still a secret. Number 8. Brenda is the killer, urban legend. Although not an amazing film by any stretch, 1998's Urban Legend does have a great opening scene featuring a mysterious killer hiding in the back seat of their victim's car before lopping their head off in brutal fashion. The killer, who is the titular Urban Legend, continues their spree throughout the film, as a group of university students try and figure out their identity before it's too late. The silhouette of the baddie indicates that they are a big hulking man, but when the reveal comes, it's not what anyone expected. It transpires that Brenda, the most unassuming member of the group, is behind the massacre, which takes the rest of the teens by surprise. Brenda is out for revenge after the death of her fiancé, which had been breadcrumbed throughout the film, but nobody thought this quiet young girl would turn out to be such a brutal murderer. While also being one of the film's highlights, the twist also condemned it to criticism, as reviewers pointed out how similar it was to Scream from 2 years earlier. That's a little harsh, as Urban Legend pulls it off in a different, yet effective way. Number 7. Taylor is the survivor, behind the mask, the rise of Leslie Vernon. If you're going to make a documentary about a wannabe serial killer, you probably shouldn't be surprised to end up involved in their evil scheme. This is what journalist Taylor Gentry discovers in the 2006 horror comedy Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, which is set in a world where famous slasher movie villains are actual people. Leslie Vernon is the subject of the documentary, an aspiring but bumbling murderer who wants to join the ranks of his famous heroes. It's great to see someone follow their dreams, isn't it? Over the course of making the film, Leslie reveals to Taylor that he plans to lure a group of teenagers to his house, kill them one by one before coming face to face with his chosen final girl, a virgin, naturally. The kind-hearted journo tries to stop Vernon from enacting his plan, but inadvertently ends up being a part of it. It's revealed that Taylor is a virgin, and that she was actually the killer's intended victim the entire time. Instead of being a hapless fool, Vernon had actually been pulling the strings since day one. Number 6. There is no murderer. Bodies, bodies, bodies. From 2022 comes Bodies, 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 a film that teaches viewers that it's alright to laugh at terrible people dying. During a hurricane, a group of grade A a-holes hole up in a big mansion to see out the storm in style. Things take a turn for the worse when David, one of the residents, is found dead, his throat slashed by an apparent killer. Cue the rest of the group slowly losing their minds while trying to figure out who the murderer among them is. As their paranoia grows, they go to more and more extreme lengths to prove each other's guilt, resulting in several more people getting iced. This is why you should never go on holiday with people you don't know. It never ends well. The big reveal comes when two survivors stumble across David's phone and find a video of him attempting to open a champagne bottle with a knife, only to accidentally cut his own throat. There was no killer the entire time, and all of the mayhem was for nothing. It's so bleak, it's almost funny. I mean, it's definitely not funny, but it also kind of is. Number 5, all in his head identity. At first, it seems like there are two separate subplots in the 2003 film Identity. One is the trial of a mass murderer named Malcolm Rivers, who is pleading insanity in an attempt to get a lesser sentence for his crimes. The other is the plight of 10 strangers stuck in a hotel being picked off by a mysterious assailant, Agatha Christie style. There's no way these two things could be connected, right? Yeah, about that. Over the course of the trial, Malcolm is revealed to have dissociative identity disorder, which means he has 11 distinct personalities. If you take one Malcolm and add the 10 slasher victims, you'll get the answer. The hotel is actually Malcolm's brain, and the 10 people inside are his other personalities. The murderer in Malcolm's head is his most violent persona, and with each of his kills, he gets closer to taking full control of the brain. It's up to Ed to stop the killing spree if Malcolm is to stand any chance of getting better. It might be a little far-fetched, but it's definitely a twist nobody saw coming. Number 4, Beths Delusion, Incident in a Ghostland. From the mind of French director Pascal Laugier, Incident in a Ghostland is a 2018 film that begins with a mother and her 2 daughters surviving a home invasion. At least that's how it seems at first. One of the daughters, Beth, grows up to become a famous author, with a new book coming out based on the ordeal she suffered as a child. She learns from her mother, Colleen, that her sister Vera is having traumatic flashbacks to that night, so Beth travels to see her. Yes, she probably should have stayed at home. It turns out that all of Beth's adult life was actually one big delusion. The 2 invaders actually killed her mother and have been keeping the girls hostage whilst dressing as dolls the entire time. Beth was forced to retreat into her imagination to survive the trauma, but she is eventually forced to confront the real world in order to escape. There is no hint Beth's life isn't real until the big reveal. While this may seem like a hokey cop-out, it's done so well that it fits perfectly with the twisted world of this chilling movie. Number 3, Nobody Dies, April Fool's Day. Never trust a movie with the same name as a holiday that revolves around tricking people. April Fool's Day, a comedy mystery horror from 1986, has a pretty simple premise on the surface. A bunch of college kids get together over the weekend only for a killer to turn up and start killing them. Been there, done that. One of the gang, Muffy, is a seemingly deranged prankster, setting up practical jokes to leave her victims with more than just shock from a concealed whoopee cushion. It's then revealed that Muffy has an evil twin called Buffy, the one behind all of this, who chases survivor Kit into the living room of the house. And what does Kit find there? All of her friends alive and well. Wait, how, what? Turns out that Muffy doesn't have an evil twin and is actually an actor looking to set up a resort where people can have horror movie experiences. This whole ordeal was just a dress rehearsal where everyone was in on everything and, most importantly, no one was actually killed. This is a genius twist that completely goes against everything you think you know about slashers. Number 2, The Jigsaw Lives, Pieces. When a serial killer starts murdering people and stealing various body parts from their corpses, it's up to police officers Bracken and Holden to find the assailant before they can strike again. Their search results in Dean Foley, a university head traumatized as a young boy after watching the death and dismemberment of his mother. His plan is to reassemble his dear old mum out of stolen parts, which is sweet, in a psychopathic kind of way. Bracken and Kendall eventually track the demented Dean down and kill him, bringing the nightmare to an end. This is also where they discover the corpse Jigsaw and where something completely nuts happens. As the officers are about to leave, the Jigsaw inexplicably comes to life, crushing Kendall's genitals as the film fades to black. Did the Dean's motherly love bring his creation to life? Are supernatural forces at play? Was everyone who made this film smoking something? Who knows, and frankly, cares? Number 1, Marian gets it, Psycho. When it comes to twists and slashers, and movie twists in general, few are as historically important as the fate of Marian Crane in Alfred Hitchcock's revolutionary 1960 film, Psycho. Marian steals some money from her workplace and goes on the run, which is what leads her to the infamous Bates Motel. Unbeknownst to the poor woman, the owner of the motel, Norman Bates, has a separate personality known as Mother, and she's not a very nice lady. Audiences at the time would have been expecting Bates to stalk Marian throughout the rest of the film, with her either dying or defeating her nemesis at the end. This is just what happened with main characters back in the day until old Hitchy decided otherwise. In the famous shower scene, Crane is brutally stabbed to death by Mother, leaving Psycho without a protagonist about halfway through. The mantle of hero is taken up by Lila, Marian's sister, who is the one who eventually defeats Norman, with Sam, Marian's boyfriend. This sort of thing just didn't happen at that point in time, and everybody was blown away by such a bold decision.